Show me how you get serious about the sin in your life, and I will show you everything about the success of your future. Listen in as we talk about how Jehu did just.
Welcome to Everyday Truth with Kurt Skelly. We believe the Bible is true and relevant to everyone, everywhere, every day. If today's conversation is a help to you, take a moment to leave a review or share it with a friend. Thanks for listening. Now, let's join Kurt for today's episode.
Welcome back, friends. We're here in New Zealand. Beautiful day here this morning. There's frost on the ground. The sun's just coming up, and I'm spending this time with you. I am, I think 16 hours ahead of Eastern Standard Time, if you're keeping track. So I am in your future, and your future is fine. We're in 2 Kings chapter 10 today, and I want to talk about an amazing reform that Jehu brought to the entire nation. As you know, Jehu is now the king of Israel, and in short order, he has dispatched Joram and also Ahaziah, the king of the southern kingdom. Why? Because these men are both associated with Ahab, and God has judged Ahab after having given him mercy for many, many years, his dynasty. And now the entire line of Ahab is being stamped out. Why? Because there are severe consequences for unrepentant, stubborn, and rebellious sin. And that's what's happened. And all the while, Jehu and this man Jehonadab, we talked about him yesterday, have been very zealous to reinstitute and recalibrate the nation to follow and serve God. And God is honoring Jehu. Now it comes time to turn the attention on the people themselves. And it says in verse number 18, and Jehu gathered all the people together and said unto them, Ahab served Baal a little, but Jehu shall serve him much. Now I know that sounds strange. I thought we just said that Jehu was not serving Baal. Well, Jehu is creating a scenario here to draw out all the Baal worshipers in the country. And the way he does it is this. He says, oh, you think that Ahab was a follower of Baal. That's nothing compared to the way I will follow Baal. So if you follow Baal, I want all of you to come out to a special worship service. This is the way by which Jehu is drawing out the people in the country, all the people in the country that want to follow Baal. And I find it interesting because Jehu now makes it politically expedient to follow Baal. So the Baal followers have gone into hiding a bit. And what Jehu is doing is bringing them out of hiding. Verse 19, now therefore call unto me all the prophets of Baal, all his servants, all his priests, let none be wanting, for I have a great sacrifice to do to Baal. Whosoever shall be wanting, he shall not live. But Jehu did it in subtlety to the intent that he might destroy the worshipers of Baal. So basically Jehu said, everybody that's associated with Baal, the leaders, the priests, the people, I don't want any exceptions. If you are a Baal follower, you come to this special event. And Jehu said, proclaim a solemn assembly for Baal, and they proclaimed it. And Jehu sent throughout all Israel, and all the worshipers of Baal came, so that there was not a man left that came not. They came into the house of Baal. Remember, there was a huge house of Baal in Samaria, and the house of Baal was full from one end to another. I mean, it was a packed crowd. He is having this big Baal convention. He's put the word out, the advertising, the marketing is just so. Everybody comes. They think this is going to be the biggest Baal convention we've ever had. And he said unto him that was over the vestry, bring forth vestments for all the worshipers of Baal. And he brought them forth vestments. So they have special clothes that they're wearing, a special priestly garb, or rather a special garb for the convention or for the meeting, the feast. And Jehu went, and Jehonadab the son of Rechab, unto the house of Baal, and said unto the worshipers of Baal, search and look that there be here with you none of the servants of the Lord, that means of Jehovah, but the worshipers of Baal only. Interesting that Jehu wanted to make sure that nobody that was a true follower of God would be caught in this maelstrom. And when they went in to offer sacrifices and burnt offerings, Jehu appointed 80 men without, so 80 men, and said, if any of the men whom I have brought into your hands escape, he that letteth him go, his life shall be for the life of him. So he gives the orders to these guards, to these soldiers, and says, listen, I have a very serious job for you. And that is, you are to contain every one of these worshipers of Baal. They're going to be executed. And if anybody escapes, that you are responsible with your own life. So this is very serious. And it came to pass, as soon as he had made an end of offering the burnt offering, that Jehu said to the guard and to the captains, go in, slay them, let none come forth. And they smote them with the edge of the sword. And the guard and the captains cast them out and went to the city of the house of Baal. So this is the stamping out, the total purging of Baal and Baal worship from the entire country. But he's not done yet, because it says in verse 26, they brought forth the images, so the idols, out of the house of Baal and burned them. And they break down the image of Baal, break down the house of Baal. So the entire place they destroyed. They didn't repurpose it for a house of God or use it or use the images for some kind of an art appreciation class. No, they destroyed it all and made it a draught house unto this day. Thus, Jehu destroyed Baal out of Israel. That's the summary statement. Thus, Jehu destroyed Baal from out of Israel. I mean, he purged it from the entire land. Howbeit, from the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, who made Israel to sin, Jehu departed not from after them, to wit the golden calves that were in Bethel, that were in Dan. So the sad part about the whole Jehu story is that he purges the entire nation of false worship. He quickly purges the land and obeys God. But during his longer reign, what does Jehu do? He doesn't go back to the beginning, back to David, back to following God. He goes back to the beginning of the northern kingdom. He goes back to Jeroboam and he reinstitutes the calf worship in Dan and Bethel that Jeroboam had set up. So he's worshiping God, Jehovah God, not Baal, but he's worshiping Jehovah God in the way that Jeroboam did with the calves, and it's compromise. So how sad that he does all these good things, but when it comes down to his own worship of God, he doesn't go all the way. And it says in verse number 30, and the Lord said to Jehu, because thou hast done well in executing that which is right in mine eyes, and hast done unto the house of Ahab according to all that was in mine heart, thy children of the 4th generation, so your great-grandchildren, shall sit on the throne of Israel. But Jehu took no heed, here's the sad part, to walk in the law of the Lord God of Israel with all his heart. For he departed not from the sins of Jeroboam, which made Israel to sin. Even though he had such a great start, even though he had exemplified such great zeal, when it came down to it, Jeroboam just lived Jehu just lived a compromising life. In those days, the Lord began to cut Israel short. Hazael smote them to all the coast of Israel, from Jordan eastward, all the land of Gilead, the Gadites, the Reubenites, the Manassites. They were all on the other side of the Jordan River. From Aroer, which is by the river Arnon, even Gilead and Bashan. So what's happening? Because Jehu is a compromiser, because his kingdom is ruled by this compromise, Syria is having her way on the other side of the Jordan River, and Israel is losing ground. When you compromise, you always lose ground. And it says in verse 34, now the rest of the acts of Jehu, all that he did, all his might, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the Kings? Jehu slept with his fathers. They buried him in Samaria. His son Jehoahaz reigned, and the time that Jehu reigned over Israel was 28 years. Here's the thing I want to say to you today. There's so much good about Jehu's life. And God even said that. He said, I'm going to bless you till the fourth generation because you've obeyed me. But he just didn't go all the way. He was good in the moment. He was good with big decisions. He was good for a short span. And I find that to be so true in Christianity today. People make big decisions in the short term. They show great zeal for a season. They accomplish much for the Lord in little spans of time, only to live a compromising life for the bulk of their time. And that's what Jehu did. And what an example for each one of us just to take heed and say, let's not be those people. I do want to say this as well. When it came to reforming Israel, I think Jehu dealt with three prongs. Number one, he dealt with the promoters of Baal. Remember, at first, he dealt with all the leadership, Ahab, the priests, the chief rulers. He dealt with them first, those that were willing to promote Baal. He dealt with the promoters of Baal first. And then he dealt with the practitioners of Baal, all of those that participated, the Baal worshipers themselves. He dealt with them. And then he dealt with the paraphernalia of Baal, all the images, all the artifacts, all the things that were related to Baal worship, the house itself. He destroyed them. And I find in that a great template for the way that we ought to deal with sin in our life. Deal with the promoter of sin. Who is promoting sin in your life? Sometimes it's just a bad diet of social media. Sometimes it's just a bad diet of entertainment on the television or on the internet. And we need to just purge all of the promotion of sin in our life. Who are those that are practicing sin that you are spending time with? Evil communications corrupt good manners. And Jehu realized that. Jehu realized that as long as I let people that practice this in my nation, it'll eventually infect the other people in my nation. So he dealt with the promoters of Baal. He dealt with the practitioners of Baal. And then he dealt with Baal's paraphernalia. I don't want images here. I don't want this house here. I want to get rid of all of it. What are the devices in your life? What are the reminders in your life of things that aren't honoring to God? Get rid of them. Get rid of them. In some cases, it means installing new software on your phone. And in some cases, it means just getting rid of ensnaring devices. The whole point here is that sin is serious. And the way that we deal with it is an indication of our love for and our fidelity to God. So we'll stop right there for now. Give my voice a chance to recover over the weekend. I'll see you next time. Hope you have a great day in the Lord. God bless you, my friends.